Okay, it's that time once again for a chapter of Four Nights of the Apocalypse. This time it is chapter 183, titled Unrequited Feelings. And with that, we have Percival putting on his cloak, probably waking up for the day, getting ready with that Game 7 face on as well. And this is very reminiscent to when in chapter 1 he puts on Vargas's cloak for the first time and sort of does the little cloak swing. Yeah, so this is a callback to that, obviously. We go on to Edlin asking Cheon who he thinks will win all of it. And Cheon, meat riding as always, is like, how else could it be anyone but Tristan? With Hauser stating that all the Knights of Prophecy that are still in it, though. Bolin, whatever this nigga's name is, asks Anna if she'd like to drink with him, which she refuses. And Donnie asks if it's true that Gareth can summon ghosts, and he's just like, are you serious right now, bro? And the stage doors open for round 2. We see all the participants. I meant to say participants. And Percival is over there bouncing up and down, just warming himself up with some stretches, helping Narcians with some stretches as well, though unintentionally hurting them. With Iso looking over to Tristan and Isolette as well, with Tristan imploring that he can the new clothes on himself. And we see the full fit pic, which honestly is not too bad. It is not too bad at all. And even has his sword down at his waist, one of his swords at his waist, and the dragon handle one on his back now. Sort of like how Meliodas did before the Seven Deadly Sins were framed for murder. Well, Isolde stating that he looks lovely, and looking over to the other Isolde, who then looks away from her. Tristan walks up to Isolde and sort of holds his hands out, asking to have a good match later on that day, which kind of confuses her. But he's just like, it doesn't really matter that since none of you guys are really bad, so. But Isolde states that it does matter, and that she's sort of like, I don't know what I'll do if I can't make you remember during their fight. And then the other Isolde comes in and is just like, okay, stop right there. She knows that she doesn't really have the right to get in their way, but Isolde continues to state that I have an obligation to get Tristan's memories back. What goes on between y'all is y'all's business. With Isolde sort of just yelling and yapping at her to not mislead Tristan, which is crazy coming from her considering what she's doing to him. And I know Isolde really just wants to hit her with one of these. So Gawain is just wondering if it would really be that bad of a situation for him to regain his memories, and implores everyone to just calm down a little. With Balin saying, you don't really have much time to worry about others since you're fighting me, and Gawain's just like, don't worry, I'll be able to beat you with one finger. The two of them just exchanging smiles. Oh man, I can't wait for that fight, bro. This gonna be so gas. Captain then appears saying that BELTREIPE has a special message for all of them. And my goat shows up in all his glorious splendor as well, with a full fit. I can't lie, it's just incredible. And he goes on to call them elites who crawled up from the trash heap and congratulates them on making it this far. And everyone takes offense to him calling everyone else trash, with both Narcians and Isolde making note of how imposing of a figure he is. BELTREIPE stating that he's quite fond of the looks on everyone's faces and how they fought, and praises them for their brilliant fights the other day, and is expecting more like that from them. With BELTREIPE then noting that Isolde, a non-fighter of the group, is amongst them, with Tristan trying to explain that she is his escort, and Isolde immediately goes, did you forget about me, Lord BELTREIPE? And he looks genuinely puzzled, like,
who the fuck is this nigga, bro?
And Isolde is like, you still don't even remember after seeing the armor that Tristan is wearing, which obviously we know belongs to her father. So the theory that BELTREIPE was her father seems to be congruent. BELTREIPE is getting mad at this sudden conversation somehow, and is just like, speak to me like that again, and you won't have your head no more. And tells Capodoni that they'll be off, and she says the words father, which everyone catches. Now we move on to where BELTREIPE is walking out with Capodonic, and everyone glazing him as they should, you know. basically well, I wouldn't say he's the LeBron James of the series because there can only be one LeBron Raymond James. And as he's waving to the crowd, Beltrap is like, "Do you know who that girl was?" And Caponone is like, "I don't really have a clue myself." When Beltrap was like, "Yeah, well, she just spoke a lot like how she knew me or something." Which honestly, does Caponone actually know? Who knows? Because we know that if Night is infused with chaos, the people they love the most are forgotten about. And who's to say that in instances like this, where those people are trying to contact the Knights again, Arthur didn't plant Knights like Capadonic next to the four evils to keep them, from fully remembering. And honestly, that theory kind of is further amplified by me as Capadonic is like, I'm sure she's just trying to integrate herself with you, or maybe mistook you for someone else. But Beltrap sort of not buying it. It's just like mistaken identity when I have this helm on, and that he does describe that it just kind of does bother him a little bit. And Beltrap goes on to state that some kind of forgotten memory is coming to him whenever looking at some of the fighters, but like it never fully forms, and is questioning why that case is. With Capononic wondering if he's just not feeling unwell. And my goat is literally just like, yeah, let's stop yapping and continue with the tournament. He literally jumps up to his pedestal and with a majestic landing, he just lands and sits down in one motion. And we go back to the participants with Percival stating that he is up next, with Narcians telling him to be careful, with Dubs laughing, saying that he'll make it painless for him. But Percival reminds Narcians to be careful the most, since when they look over to Theodora, they see that he's wearing Rose's gear and has his hair down, and notes that Theodora looks a lot different than how he was the other day. Capononic goes in as the main announcer, saying that it's time to kickstart the second day of the Antwerp Gladiator Festival, with everyone with that guy cheering for Mystery Package, with Anne asking him to cheer for Percival, please. And Gareth is just like, if this nigga loses like from here, he's gonna pay for it, I swear. So the two of them get out there, with Dub stating that he has the item promised to him, and as that is done, again takes it out from a very, very awkward position, which Percival even makes note of, and hands it over to him. And obviously they're in plain sight, which is crazy. They're in plain sight doing this, which stirs some confusion, with Beltrap even wondering who the masked man is. And Percival seeing his new weapon called the Force Circular, which I'm not sure about the name. I thought we'd get something that's like short and sweet. It's like a one name thing, like Rita, Lost Vein, something like that. But yeah, maybe it won't be Percival's endgame weapon anyways. We'll see what it does. And Dubs goes on to state that he'll have to size up his capabilities for himself, expanding that it's too unique of a weapon for him to be able to test out himself. Percival thanks him for it, obviously. Dubs just says, "Thank me in deeds, not words," which low-key,
this nigga's spitting right now.
And that it's the greatest reward he could hope for. So now we see Percival versus Mystery Package, aka Dubs, and that's where the chapter ends. So with that, let me go back quickly to this panel and let's take a real nice look at Force Circular, where we see it seems to be a single-handed sword, or at least 1.5-handed, which would make sense. And we see that it seems to follow the same sort of shaping theme that Narcians' own Spirit Spear follows, because at the guard we see the guards are quite curved, which are reminiscent of Percival's wing-like hair. We even see the pommel is literally just looks like one of the mini Percival's heads. The blade is quite long, it seems, as well, with runes or magic writing along its sort of flat surface as well, with the blade being very uniquely shaped, which reminds me of the executioner blade that Zeldris uses, but obviously that's not a special weapon in any capacity, as it was just something that that Meliodas gave him one time. Apparently Dub says it's a very conditional weapon that would only suit Percival, so we'll see what that entails in next week's chapter, in 184, if that chapter comes out next week or the week after, because like I said, it's been a while since Dark was taking a break, so maybe he might take one soon. Not that I'm complaining, not that I'm complaining. But yeah, we see that the handle as well seems to have some diamond shapes along it on the design and everything. And yeah, generally it looks like a really cool sword. I can't begin really to speculate what kind of abilities it may have in regards to how it can help Percival more, apart from outside of being just like, a physical weapon for him to actually use rather than his magic blade. I mean, one thing I can imagine is that it helps him save magic force, because the less magic force he uses in like more long drawn out fights, the better. And if he's just continuously using a magic blade in the fight, is sort of like something that slowly wears down. And in cases like with Dareth's blade, where it can actually wear down magical swords structures as well, it's nice to have for him to have something more solid and physical for him to rely on. One thing I can speculate is that it probably has something in regards to spirit magic as well, something that will help him further tune his body with his life spirit as well. I can imagine it just generally boosts his ability anyways. But saying that is kind of vague. It's more a question of how it does that, because we know how hope works. The more people believe in Percival, the stronger his magic gets, and he himself gets in proportion to that. So if anything, this weapon might just help him with general control, because while he has come back with a lot better control than before the time skip, we do know that Percival's biggest weakness is actually how his lack of being able to control the stability of his magic, because of how erratic hope can be. It might have an ability like Rita where it can store the magic force that builds up as well, and just helps as a medium for him to properly refine his control over his magic ability. Outside of that, things to say about the chapter. Obviously, everyone's noticed how Theodore has changed. Another thing, the whole sort of reveal that Beltripe is indeed Fig Isolet's father, which was built up. And obviously, there's the concern of if it's really that big of a deal if Tristan gets his memories back at all. But she could have separation anxiety. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it could be a case of separation anxiety with someone she may deem useful because of what's happened with Beltripe in terms of memory loss. The little argument between her and the real Isolde as well, that was it wasn't even an argument, because Isolde didn't even speak back, but I know she had words to say. After that last little crush out with her, she definitely had words to say. But generally, there isn't much for me to say on this chapter at all. So yeah, that'll be it for me for this week. It feels kind of lackluster, like for myself, not the chapter. I feel like this was a build-up chapter. Like, what else could it really have done? Like, there's no point in me trying to draw out things when they don't really need to. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll see you guys for chapter 184, where we'll see how full circular works. And obviously, basic YouTube shit like comment, subscribe, yada yada yada. Follow the socials, yada yada yada. And take care, guys.
Pick, yo, flirt, shaking, yo, Babel was shaking, yo, T was good, bro, yo, what's pop, yo, who the fuck is this nigga?